And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I am talking with Kat Stancik. Kat, well, thanks, Kat, for squeezing me in. I know you're super busy, especially this morning.
Well, with 3 kids under 7, what's another appointment?
That's right. Exactly. It's no big deal. I just won't have you change my diapers. How about that? Hey, Kat Stancik, she is the founder of Action Incubator. It's an implementation and revenue coaching program for business owners, for CEOs and entrepreneurs. And she's also the host of the Revenue Accelerator podcast. And I wanted to talk with her because that's something that, I think all of my clients are interested in is revenue acceleration. And the other key word that we just talked about there is implementation, which really is what stops most of us. So we just want to have a great conversation, Kat, and talk a little bit about what you do and how you can help people and how they can grow and grow personally, grow their revenue and implement some more stuff. But give us a snapshot of who you are. How do you get to doing what you're doing?
Well, I think a lot of times when I think entrepreneurs, we're special. Let's just say that we're special and we need a lot of therapy. Yeah. And so part of what I needed to do was really connect to my passion, because I followed someone's dream. I definitely achieved it, had my MBA, a big consulting gig, high paying, all kinds of awesome things, but my soul wasn't being fed. Right. And I feel like it was just slowly dying. And not that I'm not super appreciative of everything that I, experienced and the responsibility and just climbing the ranks, but it was that I needed something more that they could never provide me. And so I had to really dig in deep and figure out what that was. And Googling what's my passion wasn't the thing that ended up working out. So true story. So I embarked down this path. And, what I realized over time was that I had really wished that someone had believed in me the way that I needed to have been believed in. Right. And I really believe in my clients the way that someone should have and the way that someone should. And it's really about seeing that opportunity, that possibility, and what that direct path to it is. Because for some reason, us as humans, we like to complicate things for whatever reason.
Oh, totally. Wow, I want to camp out there, because that is awesome. Because so many, I was just at a conference, a sales conference and things, and we're sitting there. Everybody had their notepads out. They were looking for the next tip, tactic, strategy, whatever. And what you just said there is so powerful, because it is not always needing the tip or tactic or strategy. Those are important, but it is that belief of, no, Michael, you can do this. And I see it in you. Let's pull that out and apply that, because so many times we get lied to. We believe the lie that's going on in our head because we're never as good, right? And talk to us about that. And how do you help people with that?
Well, part of what I do is I let people borrow my confidence in them as they build up their own confidence.
Borrow your confidence in.
Right. Because a lot of that has to do with why we're not doing something, right? We're not confident. We're afraid it's why a lot of people don't sell, because we don't want to put someone through the experiences that we've been put through, right? We don't want to be pitchy and we don't want to be sleazy and slimy. And so we start making it about us, instead of really looking at what is the bigger picture. What is it that I'm trying to do in terms of an impact, and how can I get there faster, building the skill sets? Because none of this is anything that's, there's no brain science here. Like, these are all skill sets: learning how to market, learning how to sell, learning how to do the thing in between. It's what I call the weather to weather. This is where most people get stuck, which is, how do I go from talking about the weather to whether we should work together? That weather to weather turn of the conversation is where people get triggered by whatever things they've experienced, whether it's Pitchy Pete on LinkedIn sliding into your DMs and pitch slapping you, giving you PTCD, which is post-traumatic connection disorder, or, someone that you bought from who they delivered as far as a sales call and then just took your money and ran. Like, we're needing to work through those things so that we can get to the point of everything, which is having that impact, supporting that client and improving their business, their life, their relationship, whatever it is that they've decided to do.
That's awesome. You had a phrase there. You had lots of phrases there.
I am the queen of the one-liners.
The weather to weather conversation, Pitchy Pete, all of that. But supporting your clients. Now, there's a phrase that I haven't heard for a long time. We all say, we love our clients, we value our clients, we help supporting our clients. And that really goes back to what you just said earlier about helping them borrow your confidence in them, because we are all I say, we all walk around with this phony syndrome. If you only knew the truth about me, Kat, you wouldn't be on my podcast, right? It's that phony thing that I'm not as good as you think I am. Talk about that, and how can you breathe life into people? How do you let your clients borrow your confidence so that you really are helping them and serving them? Talk about that.
I think we get triggered a lot by our own things, our own stories, whatever that's been established. And it's funny, I literally just had a conversation with someone like right before this podcast recording, and was talking to her about what I saw in her. And what I said is you're not doing the things that you need to do because you're afraid, like, and I didn't say this directly like this, but within context of part of what you're thinking is that you're never going to win.
Yeah.
So every time, it doesn't matter how much success you have, it doesn't matter how much, whatever it is, you're always in a one down position. And what I want to invite you to do is look at the opportunity of what these things that are happening for you and not to you are enabling you to do in terms of supporting your client. And so shifting that perspective helps build that confidence. Doing the work and having the sales close builds your confidence. I mean, I don't know anybody who's not happy after they've closed an ideal client, right?
I do happy dance. Yeah.
Right. So, but oftentimes we tend to tap into finding all the evidence that supports what we believe.
Yeah.
But we're believing something negative about ourselves. So we're collecting the negative data and we dismiss all of the things that we've actually accomplished. I see this a lot when people who come from a corporate space, right? They were successful, they did promotions, they got all these things, they wrote up their resume with all their impact, and then they go into the entrepreneurial world, they start achieving success, they start doing things, but they dismiss, right? And maybe they hit a revenue lull, but they dismiss all of their success. They dismiss all of what they've done. Right? They chalk it up to luck. And I've seen multiple seven-figure business owners chalk it up to luck. There is no room for luck in your business.
That's right. Wow, that's incredible. And it shows that it's not just these startups that struggle with this mindset thing, right? I've got a sign on my door over here. I should rip it off and show it. Don't buy the lie. And because we're all being lied to, usually within ourselves, right? Because I'm looking at the next entrepreneur. I look at you, Kat, and I mean, you're just super successful. You're working with big business owners. They're looking at you. And I'm just this little guy over here, right? I'm buying a lie in my head to say, no, time out. Stop comparing. Stop looking. Embrace who I am, what I offer. And I think it was Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, in one of his books years ago I read, he says, never measure forward, always measure backwards. Look at the progress you've made, celebrate that, and take the next step. And sometimes we need people like you to build that into us and remind us of that.
Well, I mean, it's staying in your lane, right? Like so many times, yes, absolutely. The best way to measure success is to look at what you've achieved, right? And looking at all of the data points, not just the one that you're hyper focused on, because it's why I do talk about money, because it's something tangible. It's something that you can actually touch, you can measure, and things like that. And yes, we've all made those high level investments and we got clarity and we got refined and stuff. But at the end of the day, it is about the promise that we were made. We were told that we were going to be able to achieve a certain thing in business, and it didn't happen. So one of two things happened. That person didn't deliver, or you didn't step up. You didn't do the work. And if you're always buying things and not getting the results, then I'm going to start looking at you as being the common denominator of why something's not working. And it may be that all of those people were bro marketers and totally sold you, but are you constantly buying into the pipe dream instead of building your pipeline? That's a new one-liner that was just made up right now.
I love it. I'm writing that down, and we've got this recorded so we know how to say it.
It originated.
Let's say that again. Are you constantly...
Are you constantly buying into the pipe dream instead of building your pipeline?
Girl, we can do a whole episode on that versus building your pipeline. I'm writing that down. I hope my audience is writing that down. That is buying into the pipe dream. That is so, wow. In all of the marketing things that are out there, that's what it is. Buy this, you get this. Buy this, you get this.
Right. It's all about repetition, right? That's how you build confidence. Michael Jordan just didn't, come out of his mother's womb being able to throw free throws, right? Like, he's really talented, but right there. But it's not just talent enough, because I know a lot of people who are really smart and who aren't successful. So it's not just about that. It's about actually practicing the skill sets. And you can read as much as you want about plays and playbooks and analogies and strategies, but until your feet hit the court and that ball's in your hand and you're throwing it up, then you can't actually get better at the thing you need to do. And here's the thing. Yes, that is all about the, basic level and foundational concepts, but you also can't coach. You can't be the strategist or the business owner or the team owner unless you understand the game as well. And so I think the most powerful entrepreneurs are people who really understand sales and marketing, but aren't necessarily the ones that are doing it anymore, because they have an understanding of the value of what goes in. So that when someone approaches you and says, hey, I can do this thing for you, but it's going to cost you $25,000, you might say, oh my God, that's too expensive. Or you might say, you know what, that saves me so much time that actually that allows me to make $250,000.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. But you can't have that perspective unless you have an understanding. And you don't have to master every aspect of it, but you can't use technology to amplify what's broken, what's wrong, what's not working. And you need to have the foundational concepts in place in order to amplify that, to hand those things off, the documents and the processes, to someone else who can step in and set other people up for success.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're speaking my language. I'm a big systems guy. I teach and tell systems all the time. You've got to build the system first, run the system, then hand it off to it's in business. It's systems, then people, then resources, right? And too many entrepreneurs and small business owners don't get that. They're the, going back to the E-myth, they're the one who's just running everything, and they're the practitioner. It's like, start there. But start hiring. I mean, my son and I were at a conference last weekend as vendors. We had a booth there, right? We just popped into one of the sessions and ended up buying a program, because what the lady was talking about is something that he and I have talked about. And we looked at each other and said, yeah, we could do that with enough time, energy, money, stress. And in a year and a half, we might have it 50% of what she can do. And so we just made a quick decision, and we bought into the program, and we'll be working with her for the next year, and it'll radically impact our business. But it's a part of our business that we know we needed to do. We weren't qualified, really. We could learn it. I could read a book, but I don't need to, because that's not my strength. And so I will double or triple the revenue that we just paid her, because I'm going to stay in my lane. Going back to your very beginning, right? I teach, when I've taught kids to drive, I've taught, 10 kids to drive and things. And
you survived to tell the tale.
Can you believe it? Yeah, I've got gray hair, but there's nothing like, you talk about faith, putting yourself in that passenger seat when a teenager gets behind the wheel. But I've got 7 driving rules. Okay. Number 1 rule is stay in your lane. If you do that, you're going to avoid most accidents, right? But going back as business owners, stay in your lane. And where my business has kind of been really choppy is when I've gotten out of my lane. And I've tried to build the website, or I've tried to do, it's like, oh my gosh, just pay somebody. And it's not only faster, easier, it keeps me fueled. Or accounting, heaven forbid I ever get involved in accounting. Stay in your lane, because it's going to be better.
Well, and don't look left, don't look right. So that's where we come into play with the comparison monster. And the problem is that most people are comparing themselves to the future, someone else's future state, instead of looking at where was that person when they were where I was.
Yeah.
Right. And and even if they were more successful where you are right now, so what? That's not your path to walk, right? Like, where's the ease and grace that you're giving yourself right now? Because that is an abundance frequency, right? We're talking about energetic frequencies. How are you showing up? Because that's what allows you to release the abundance that's within you and to attract more of it into your life.
Right.
And so, the comparison monster just drags you down. And so really looking at how can you own your own brilliance, your own expertise, which is of course what you help people do in terms of with the books and getting things out there, is leveraging that as a strategy to really amplify the message. So what strategy are you using to help amplify what you've got working for you? And no, it's not always technology. It's using really strategic initiatives like writing a book to be able to leverage yourself for not necessarily book sales, but for marketing opportunities that then you have a process and a system in place to convert those leads into clients.
Right. Because it facilitates a conversation, right? To know whether or not we should have the conversation and become clients, moving that, what you say, the weather to weather conversation. I want to touch on this, because when you and I talked last time, you had this thought, this phrase, and I thought, oh, we've got to unpack this, is the sale is made before the sales call.
Mm-hmm.
And you started talking to me about how do you buy, and stop selling the way that you buy, but sell like they buy. Unpack that, because that was really powerful.
So most people, like, they're just really hyper focused on getting sales calls booked, right? This is pitchy Pete. We see people using bots and things like that. And you're just wasting a bunch of your time getting on, for sales call, or God forbid, a sales call that only one person knows about, right? We've all experienced that, the one-sided sales call. I'm sorry, I thought we were having a coffee chat. No? Okay, goodbye.
That's right.
So looking at what is the experience that you're putting someone through before the sales call, because you can prepare people to buy before you ever even have that conversation with them on the phone, face to face. Yes, there's messenger conversations. Yes, your content absolutely plays a key role. But the problem is that most people sell the way they buy. So they're very focused on putting out the content and the information and the experience that they would want in order to get a yes. And the problem is that, and I caveat this with, this is an ideal client that you're talking to. This is not for everybody. We're not trying to close everybody, because a red flag is a red flag, and an orange flag is just a red flag that's been out in the sun too long. So really looking at how does that person show up? If you're talking to, for example, and I have 5 different buyer personas. There's the producer, the director, the star, the stunt double, and then the crew, right? And so if you're talking to a crew member, this is someone who needs to consume information for a long period of time. They need to understand about the connection. They need to really feel like they know you. They need to have multiple conversations, and they need to read everything that you've probably ever put out in terms of content before they can get to that buying decision. And yes, they need to know all other things, but that connection is the most important piece to them, no matter what that price point might be. Right. So if you're just looking at, on the very first call, you talk to that person, you say, okay, it's $25,000 and this is what we do, and this is what we do, blah, 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 blah. That person's going to go, nope. Right. But if you just let that person lead, because you've identified that this is a crew member, this is someone who needs to get information from you and connect from you, then you're going to know that that person's going to be a multi-call sales close. Right. So you can have 2-part closes, and that person might be a 5-part close, where you're going to get on the call. And if that's not someone you like working with, then you can identify that early on and not waste their time or yours.
Right.
Right. This is that ideal client persona, because how that person shows up and how they buy is also how they tend to show up in terms of how they work. And so instead, if you're talking to, like, for example, a producer, that same strategy is exactly what's going to get them to close, because they want to know the price within 3 seconds, like 30 seconds of getting on the call with you. And if they don't hear it, they're already finding excuses not to buy. Gosh,
that's so good. I was on a sales call the other day, and the guy just, within like 3 minutes came out and says, hey, I need to know the price and the process. Well, that was not I had not asked all my questions. Okay. And everything in me said, well, we'll get to that. Let me go through my thing. And I didn't. I said, okay, well, here's the deal. Boom. And then let's talk about it. Right. But he became a client, but I met him where he was, because he probably got that. And he's like, okay, now let's figure out what it is and if it's right.
Because the thinking and the strategy is different. What that person has done is they've already done all the research on you. Yeah. They've gone to the sales page. They've seen the price point. They are already ready to buy. Those are the people that tend to buy the fastest, right? They're ready to go. They're boom, boom, boom. They're logical kind of thing. It doesn't mean that the other types the sales cycle can't be shortened in terms of what you do. But what that comes down to is the information that you're sharing before the sales call.
Yes.
You should not be revealing the price point on the sales call. They should already be prepared. And the good news is that part of what I work with my clients on is there is a strategy that you can leverage to prepare every single buyer before the sales call.
Yeah.
And it's all about the information that you're sharing beforehand and how you're delivering it and where you're sending them to. And each one feels unique so that you can identify who they are. That's how you turn more of your sales conversations into yes.
Yes.
And it's an easy way to put that strategic effort into creating the revenue ease.
Yes. And it really lowers the anxiety that you have on that call, because it's not a sales call. I mean, it's really
like a confirmation call.
Yeah, I love that.
It's only up to you to lose the sale, or for you to identify that this is not the right person to work with.
Is this a good fit? Is this the next best
good fit
for
phone
you?
Call? Yeah.
And are we a good fit phone call? There you go. You got 2 or 3 more zingers out of this. Yeah, this is awesome. The good fit. I like that. I might use that. The good fit call. Because too many times we put way too much pressure on that sales call, but it's because we're hiding something. I've learned that I have to wait until the very end.
Manipulation.
Yeah. Let me, yeah.
Never went out on that one. I mean, and you see this with the NLP and all these other things, and the bro marketers out there trying to create fake scarcity or fear of missing out, and, trying to objection handle on the call. Like, I know you have 3 other appointments, but we're not getting off this call until you give me a yes kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's aggressive. That's how you get a resentful yes, which asks for refunds. We want resounding yeses, the people that absolutely want to do it. The problem is that most people are so hyper focused on that big yes that they forget to collect all the micro yeses along the way. People need to provide constant consent to move to that next level. Yeah. And are you in your process providing those opportunities for people to say yes to you?
And to say no to me? I would rather have fewer
to disqualify them.
Absolutely. Because
it is about the quality over the quantity. And most people get those things reversed. So I talk about the QQC, which is the quantity, the quality, and the kinds of conversations. And most people put it in that order. And I talk about it in that order because that's what they're thinking. It's actually the reverse. You need to focus first on the conversation, right? Then on the quality, and then on the quantity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, Kat, when you, and these are mindset shifts as well, that a business owner, a CEO, we're not going to see it. Right. So my son, he was in this conference with me down in Orlando. He's from California. He had a rental car, right? He's a DeLon. Here's what we do with rental cars is we get the rental car and we have on the outside mirror, we those little round blind spot mirrors, we buy them and we stick them on rental cars because they save us from having accidents. Right. And so I was driving with him and I looked over there and I'm like, oh, I love my son. He's a DeLon. That's what we do. And, it came to me is that we need that blind spot mirror to see what we can't see. People need people like you, entrepreneurs, CEOs need you to see what we cannot see because I am so close to my business. I've got 3 coaches, 2 of them marketing coaches who look at I'm a marketing guy.
Right.
But I'm disqualified to market my own company.
Right. I mean, it's you can't see the picture from the frame. And what I like to say is, you want a coach or a strategist or whoever that supports in your business, not just to be able to see the frame, you need them to see the gallery, right? So to be able to see how are the things around you, how are things supported, what's the environment that you're living in, because it may not be the right environment, especially if it comes to priceless paintings. They need to have a certain, air quality and all those kind of things, and making sure that you're, moving in the direction that's in alignment with where you want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It all plays into that conversation, because if you put your beautiful art painting in Hobby Lobby, I love Hobby Lobby, but it's going to have a different price point than if it's at some beautiful gallery.
Right. Other than in the Louvre. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And same thing with you and your offer and how you bring, I call it preconditioning your prospects to hire you before you ever meet with them. Before you ever have that conversation, they should be predisposed to say, yes, I'm ready if it's a good fit. Right. All right, great. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the triggers that I see that happens that really impacts a lot of people from being successful, and let's just go down the painting analogy, is what they've done is they've created a reproduction. They're not standing out as an original piece of art.
Love it.
Right. And so what happens is then they devalue themselves because they're a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important for people to find how they show up originally in the world and really leverage that, because everything that everybody's sharing is relatively non-unique. I don't think there is a unique thought or concept really out there in the world again, but it becomes unique in terms of how you talk about it, who you are as a person, the stories that you share to create that connection and that relationship with people, with thousands of people without ever having to actually talk to them. Yes. And that comes down to your content, your positioning, and how willing you're, wanting to, embrace your authority and expertise.
Yes. And you'll have to forgive for this. This is what popped in my mind when you're doing that there is no money in trying to be a Monet.
Oh my, there we go. There's yours. There you got your liner.
That's as good as I get. It's really not as good as you're constantly buying into the pipe dream versus the building your pipeline. But it is. If I'm trying to be something I'm not, and my business turned around, really took a turn for the better about 18 months ago when I gave up trying to be a Monet, trying to be up everybody else. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be me. And everybody I was talking to, you know, had these beautiful backgrounds and all that stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm in my little garage attic office here, and this is how I'm going to show up. And I've had people say, yeah, but when you do webinars, you need to have a better background. I'm like, you know what? This is me.
At least you're doing it.
And if you
Most
don't
people
like
aren't.
me, yeah, if you don't like me, then we shouldn't be working together.
Right.
And what I've seen is my pipeline is increasing. It's getting full. I'm getting leads. I'm getting clients. And I'm like, I think people like the authenticity of this is me. And so I don't want to be a Monet. I want to be an original. And I might show up in Hobby Lobby, but you know what? That's my crowd, maybe. So it's understanding your business, understanding your offer, being true to yourself, and finding somebody like Kat who at every turn and every week I can borrow confidence. I can say, Kat, I'm struggling. And she's, you know, we've been doing our business, Kat, for 9 years. My son and I, we get tired of it. It just becomes a commodity. And then we go to a coaching program or we go to an event or we talk to, and they're like, dude, what you guys do is awesome. It's so unique. It's just, and they pour into us. We borrow confidence and we're like, you know what? It really is pretty cool what we do. But
everybody should have an awesome file, because everybody has these rainy days,
yes.
Right? Where, you know, if you're not wanting to quit your business at least once a week, then you're not trying hard enough. And I don't care what level of business you're at, that's pretty much stands true. There's always something that you're going to experience at every stage of business that you're in. But again, it kind of comes back to, what evidence are you collecting? Yes. Are you collecting evidence that this is boring? This sucks. I'm not good at this, blah, blah, blah. Right? Yeah. That evidence is absolutely available to you. And the evidence that you're amazing, that you make a difference, that you have a positive impact, that you help other people be successful is also readily available to you. So which one are you tuning into? Because one, you know, what you focus on expands. So what you're focusing on is going to attract more of that. And yeah, it's mindset, but part of it is you got to know how to think about yourself so that you can attract other people. Who wants to work with someone who doesn't believe in themselves?
That's right. Nobody.
So collect that awesome file, collect the testimonials. Hell, ask for testimonials. Right? Like go right now, refresh it, make sure that your LinkedIn profile has brand new recommendations on the bottom of it. It makes a difference, and they're releverageable for content. PS.
That's right. Yeah. So many good things there. You said something else that I wanted to jump on, and I just can't get there right now because, you know, when you get my age, it just goes out. So should have written it down, but it's the it's understanding that awesome file, talking to your clients, getting testimonials, we build it into our system that after a book publishes, about, you know, 3 months later, they get an email because I want them to have time to use their book and things. And it's like, hey, can you give me a testimonial, or I'll set up a conversation with them. And
you want a good strategy too?
Yeah.
Because the problem is that a lot of times when you get to the testimonial, it's the curse of knowledge, right? Like we've already experienced these wins, all that stuff, but do an interview with your client as soon as you close them. Record that interview. What is it that they were struggling with? What is it that why they came to you? What is it that convinced them that want to buy from you? Blah, blah. Now you've got the languaging of the before, and then you've got the results of the after. And you can use the languaging of the before, because sometimes we forget what that thing really was. But when we see it online, we realize, oh, that's what it was. And so that's how you attract, especially if that was an ideal client. We want to attract more of those kinds of people, and they have certain thoughts in their minds. And when you tap into their mind chatter, right? That's real marketing. That's the thing that gets people's attention, because it feels like they're being seen.
All right. That was worth the price of admission today. So that was great. Go back and re-listen to what she just said. If you listen to nothing else, listen to that, because that's brilliant. Thank you. All right. So Kat, how do people reach out to you? Where do they find you? Because we've got to wrap this up, but I want people to be able to reach out to you and learn more from you. Where would they go?
Sure. Is it okay if I share a free gift?
Oh, totally.
Absolutely. Awesome. Cool. So I've got a 3-part instant access training series that you get to completely free. Obviously, you can find it at fullybooked.ceo. And basically it's the first part is all about how to structure your hour of lead gen a day. That is a minimum that you should be focusing on, and what to focus on. It breaks it out for you. The second thing is actually, I always talk about, you're already connected to your next 100K. Without adding another person to your pipeline, you already have the ability to generate 100K right now, whether that's in the next month or the next year, that's up to you. So this is social media swipe that you can leverage and modify, please, to your personality and your tone of voice, that helps people raise their hands that you're already connected to say, yes, I want to know more. And let's start talking about working together. Let's start having that weather to weather conversation. And then third piece is actually my close script. And it's what I use and what my clients use to help close 80 to 90% of their sales calls. I want to caveat that with, it's not about closing them on the first call. It is about follow-up. It is about creating space for people. And it is about allowing people to be grown ass adults in their business and making decisions to let you know when they're ready. You want to be there when they're ready. You're just not forcing them to be ready.
Amen. 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 All of that's at fully
Yep.
booked.
Fullybooked.co. You get instant access to all three of those things.
I love it. Okay. So fullybooked.ceo. You're going to get that. It's going to be phenomenal. Kat, Stancik, thank you. This has been awesome. I've learned some things, some new one-liners, but also some really cool things about business and when to get testimonials and how to use those in our sales process, how to have those conversations. Thank you for a great conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. Go have a fabulous day, girl.